Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. Today we have another lesson in Mega Goal 6. In the previous lesson, we had two skills, pronunciation and vocabulary building. We talked about the word pronunciation and we said that the word pronunciation means the way we say the words correctly. In the previous pronunciation lesson, we learned how to use or how to say a word that ends with the letter T when it is followed by a word that starts with a consonant letter. We said that we use this way of pronunciation in casual conversations. So we said that sometimes consonant sounds are left out in casual speak. For example, For example, when a word with a final T is followed by a word that begins with another consonant sound, the T is often left out. Listen and practice. So we have here a word that ends with T and it is followed by a word that starts with a consonant letter. And so we said that the T in this situation is left out. We don't say it. We will have some examples.
Page 25. When a word with a final T is followed by a word that begins with another consonant sound, the T is often left out. Listen and practice.
1. They are identical twins who, at birth, were adopted by different families. 2. The first meeting was emotional. 3. I thought my heart was going to thump out of my chest. 4. I just dropped the phone. 5. The strangest thing of all is that we even have the same recurring dream.
Okay, after we learned how to pronounce the word that ends with T and followed by a consonant letter, we went to the vocabulary building. In the vocabulary building, we had 8 words on the left side and 8 definitions or 8 explanations for these 8 words on the right side. And we were asked to match these words with their definitions and explanations. We listened to the article, survival against the odds. Then we tried to guess the meanings of these words from within the context. And after that, we did all these words together. Now we will try to revise and refresh our minds by taking a brief look at these words and try to match them with their definitions. The first one is detectable. We talked about the word detectable and we said that something that can be exposed and revealed. The answer for this one is D, which is able to be found. Number 2, disoriented, when something, or we call something disoriented when it is deprived from going to a certain destination. The answer is H, confused. Number 3, exhilarating, when something causing you joy or happiness. The answer is G, causing a strong feeling of excitement and happiness. Number 4, haggard, is C, pale, weak, very thin, and tired. Number 5, hallucinating, when you imagine something that is not real, you are hallucinating. So the answer is B, imagining things that are not real. Number 6, intact. We call something intact when it's fit or in order. So the answer is A, remaining whole and unharmed. Number 7, reception. We use this word with the mobile phone. We say the mobile phone has no reception when you go to the desert. So the answer is E, the quality of radio waves received by a device. And the last one, startling is F, that is very surprising. Today we have a reading lesson. In each reading lesson, we have articles that we read together. We listen to them. We learn how each word is pronounced. We learn new expressions and new words. Then after that, we try to test our understanding for this reading material by answering the comprehension questions. But before we start reading this article together, I want to talk to you about some techniques in reading. We have today two techniques. We have scanning and skimming. It's good to know the difference between these two techniques so you can use them in the future. If you have an article and let's say about a topic that you are interested in, but you don't want to read the whole article. You are looking for a specific piece of information, okay? So as long as you are looking for a specific piece of information, you don't read the whole article. You just read quickly, trying to find this information. Once you find this information, you stop reading. This way of reading is called scanning. This way of reading is called scanning. Another way is when you have a book or if you have an article or any piece or any text that you want to know what does it talk about, what this article is about. You read quickly through this paragraph or through the paragraphs or through the text of this article. This way of reading is called skimming. Skimming is when you read trying to get the idea or the main idea of the reading material. Okay, now we have the before reading. Think of a story you have heard about a person who survived a dangerous or difficult situation. Tell the class about it. Every one of us knows some stories and who we told our friends and our families hundreds of stories. I want you now to think of a story for someone who survived a dangerous situation. You can pause the video right now, think about, try to remember one of these events where someone survived a dangerous situation. Tell your brothers, your sisters, your family, or you can tell your friend if you want, or you can also write it down if you like writing rather than speaking. And after that, we will go on with reading Survival Against the Odds. It's good to know that the before reading questions or before reading statements are used to help you reflect, help you understand the reading material profoundly and deeper. Okay, now I want you to pick up your pens, listen carefully, underline the new words so you focus on the pronunciation of these words. Underline also the new expressions so you ask about them. You try to guess their meanings from within the context. And after that, we will listen to this article together.
Survival against the odds. Beating the odds is always a great feeling. Just ask anyone who has been accepted to a selective college or unexpectedly won an athletic event. But beating the odds is never quite as exhilarating an experience as when the odds are against your survival. Tammy Oldham Ashcraft knows this feeling. At the age of 23, while she was sailing the South Pacific, Ashcraft was caught in a violent hurricane. The 50-foot, 15-meter waves overturned her boat. Ashcraft, who was below deck, was knocked unconscious. When she awoke 27 hours later, the boat had turned right side up again, but the storm had been so violent that the sails were destroyed,
the motor was dead, and the radio was lost. Only the rudder, which steers the ship, was intact. Ashcraft was badly injured and disoriented. Determined to survive, Ashcraft created a sail from scraps of material and charted a path to Hawaii, which was 1,500 miles, 2,400 kilometers away. Traveling only 2 miles an hour, Ashcraft reached her destination 41 days later. Having lost 40 pounds, 18 kilograms, during her ordeal, Ashcraft was thin and haggard when she arrived. However, she was happy and grateful to have beaten the odds. Ashcraft, who still sails, eventually told her tale of survival in a book called Red Sky in Morning. Another such tale of survival against the odds can be told by Eric Lamarck, a hockey player who played with the French national Olympic team during the 1994 Olympics. One day in February 2004, Lamarck set out for a day of snowboarding in California's Sierra Nevada mountains. But by the end of the day, Lamarck found himself in a life or death situation.
Okay, now we have just listened to the first part of our article. I want to grab your attention to 3 words that maybe you are running into them for the first time. The first one is violent hurricane. Violent hurricane. Ashcraft found herself in a moment where there was a violent hurricane in the Pacific Ocean. The word or the phrase violent hurricane means a strong wind that can cause a lot of damages to everything. For example, it has flipped the boat. It caused sometimes damages that destroy the buildings and so on. So violent hurricane, a hurricane is a strong winds that takes everything in its way. After that, we have the word haggard. We talked about this word in the previous lesson. It is one of the words that were extracted from the article, and we said it means something weak, pale, okay? Ashcraft was thin and haggard. So she wasn't fit, she wasn't strong, she was haggard. And after that, we have the word eventually. The word eventually means at the end of a period, at the end of a situation, at the end of any situation. So who still sails eventually told her tale of survival in a book called Red Sky in Morning. Now we will go to the second part of the reading material.
While looking for a good place to snowboard, Lamarck lost his way and ended up in the wilderness at the back of the mountain. Lamarck, who had expected to just be out for a couple of hours, had no food, very few supplies, and his cell phone battery was dead. All he had was a seemingly useless pocket radio. Once he realized he was lost, he decided to keep moving. Unfortunately, he chose the wrong direction, and over the next few days moved farther and farther away from safety and rescue. Knowing that eating snow lowers body temperature, Lamarck ate only tree bark and pine seeds. After a few days, Lamarck had an idea that may have saved his life. He turned the pocket radio into a kind of compass. He noticed that whenever he pointed the radio in a certain direction, the reception for a local radio station grew stronger. Using this radio reception as a guide, Lamarck switched direction and started walking towards safety and ultimately rescue. For days, Lamarck struggled through hunger, freezing temperatures, and 12-foot, 4-meter deep snow. By the 8th day, Lamarck was so weak and his legs were so frostbitten that he could no longer walk, or even stand. He was in such bad condition that he began hallucinating that his situation was just a video game. He recalls thinking, "The game is over. Let's reset it. I give up." Lamarck was at the point of exhaustion and death when he was found by rescuers in a helicopter. Although he lost his legs to frostbite, Lamarck's survival experience left him with more of an appetite for life than ever before. After being fitted with artificial limbs, he vowed to go snowboarding again, only in the future he plans to be much better prepared. Occasionally, some owe their survival not to struggle, but to nature. Take the startling case of Mitsutaka Uchikoshi. One ice-cold October day in 2006, Uchikoshi had been with a group on a mountain in western Japan. After wandering off into a field on his own, Uchikoshi tripped, hit his head, and was knocked unconscious. As Uchikoshi remembers, "I was in a..."
Okay, now we listened to the second part of the article, and we want to grab your attention to some of the words. We will start with the first one, which is wilderness. The word wilderness means any place that is outside the city. For example, if you go to the woods, to the jungle, if you go to a national park, that is a kind of wilderness. So the wilderness is any place that is outside the borders of the city. Then we have the second word, which is unfortunately. You can use this word when you are put in an unpleasant situation. When you are put in an unpleasant situation, you can say, "Unfortunately, I am so-and-so." After that, we have frostbitten. We have the word frostbitten. Mr. Lamarck was frostbitten. When you walk barefoot in the snow, you might get frostbitten. That means the snow is going to harm your legs in a dangerous way. That is called frostbitten. After that, after he was frostbitten, he had to use artificial limbs, which is an external or artificial legs. Then we started listening to the Uchikoshi story, and it will be, or we will continue listening to the Uchikoshi story in the following slide.
"I was in a field, and I felt very comfortable. That's my last memory." He remained unconscious in almost freezing temperatures without food or water for more than 3 weeks. When he was found in the freezing field 24 days after his fall, he did not seem to be breathing and had no detectable pulse. His body temperature was nearly 30 degrees below normal, and his organs had nearly shut down. Doctors assumed he was dead. Yet something incredible happened while he was at Kobe City General Hospital. He woke up. Even more incredibly, Uchikoshi, who was treated for severe hypothermia and blood loss, made a full recovery. Doctors believe that Uchikoshi's body went into a state similar to hibernation. In hibernation, the body temperature of an animal is lowered, and its breathing and heart rate slow down. Hibernation reduces the need for food and protects animals from damage to the brain and other organs. Stories like these remind us that even when we are in a situation that seems impossible, we should never give up hope. After all, there is always a chance that you will succeed against the odds.
Okay, now after we have enjoyed listening to these 3 stories. Now we will go and try to test our comprehension for what we have just listened to and read by answering the following questions. We have 6 questions. Number 1, how did Ashcraft beat the odds? Number 2, what condition did Ashcraft return in? Number 3, how did Lamarck end up in such a dangerous situation? Number 4, what were 2 decisions Lamarck made that helped him survive? Number 5, how did Yoshikoshi end up unconscious in an ice field? Number 6, how was the state Yoshikoshi ended up in similar to hibernation? The answer of the first one, how did Ashcraft beat the odds, is she survived and made it home under very difficult circumstances. Number 2, what condition did Ashcraft return in? She was very thin and tired. Number 3, how did Lamarck end up in such a dangerous situation? He got lost on the mountain and had no supplies or way of calling for help. Number 4, what were 2 decisions Lamarck made that helped him survive? Number 4, he didn't eat snow and he used his pocket radio to point him in the right direction. Number 5, how did Yoshikoshi end up unconscious in an ice field? That's because he fell while wandering off alone into a field. Number 6, how was the state Yoshikoshi ended up in a similar to hibernation? That is because his body temperature lowered and his heart rate slowed down. This is the last part of our lesson today. Thank you all for attending and I wish you enjoy the rest of the day. Assalamu alaikum.